What's going on, guys? Kai here. I have a pretty interesting conversation for you today. I want to talk about the best way to play the game so that you don't get don't get annoyed, don't feel like you have to spend a ton of money, stuff like that. Let's get into it.
멈춰! 체스트는 로즈. 반드시 돌아오게 하겠어.
더 이상 하수인만으로 남지 않아. 이제부턴 나를 위하여 오로지 나만 깨어있을 뿐.
멈춰!
모두들
절대
후회? 하, 네가 누구랑 얘기하는 줄은 아는 거야?
Alright, guys, I'll tell you a couple things that you should know when you're picking your server, your region, and your server that you should keep in mind, and then I'm going to talk about just generally how you should be progressing with the play. So if I go over here, NA, you see NA 170, that's me at 209, and then you see the newest server is 206. It has that green new bar up at the top left. Now, get the question all the time, when's the new server coming? When's the new server coming? And generally, it's either the day after or really soon when that green bar goes away. So if this says the same thing, 205, 206, and the green new goes away, generally it's the next day or the day after where 207 would come out. So you can kind of prepare for that. If you're a new player, you can play around on a different server, get an idea for the game, and then actually try hard on whatever you're doing. So that's how to know when a new server's coming. Then I always talk about the time zones. The bottom left-hand corner of the screen, as you see, that's my battery. That's the date, 7/7. And then you have the time, 10:41 a.m. This does military time. So after noon, it'll be 13, 14, 15, stuff like that. And then my ping, obviously, which you want it under 100 if possible, based on the region that you're in. And then the reason why this matters is for the gameplay calendar. Now, you'll see up at the top right hand corner, -4 UTC, that is the time zone that NA is set up in. And if you go to the official Discord, it'll actually say the time zone of the 4 regions: SA, South America, which is 1 hour before NA. So, for example, what would be 8 o'clock right here would be 7 o'clock over on South America. Then we have EU, which I think is 3 or 4 hours before that. And then we have EU being Eastern Europe. And then we have EE, sorry, that's Eastern Europe. The EU is Europe. And EE being a couple hours before them. If none of these work for you, you can check out the JP Japan or KR Korea, which are close to 12 or so hours different. But then that would generally be the server based on your time zone that you're generally in. But let's say you are so if you're someone that works a standard 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. job, something like this would work out, right? Because the main ones you need to do are between 7:40 for Guild Boss. You can also do 7:30 for Bath, but missing Bath isn't a big deal. 7:40 to about 9:15. So an hour and a half really of when you have to be around. Maybe 2 if you want to socialize, things like that. There are generally gaps between all these things. As you see on Monday, there's a big gap right there. On Wednesday, there's no Burning Soul. There's a big gap there. Even with Guild War at 8 o'clock, there's one at 8, one at 8:14. There's gaps in between. It usually ends around 8:05, 8:06, and then the second one's at 8:14. So you have some time in between. And then that ends at, let's say, 8:20. You have another 10 minutes to do some other dailies. You can generally squeeze your dailies into things like these. Maybe you have one or two dailies that you want to spend more time on. That's fine. You should definitely be out by 9:30. So 7:30, 9:30, 2 hours if you want to spend more time on certain things. Now, if you have a different type of schedule, for example, let's say you work afternoons. So if you work afternoons, this is when you're at work, right? So let's say, what is it? 3 to 11, something like that. Well, then you're either going to want something totally different, like Eastern Europe, or JP Japan, or KR Korea, which those will be before you go to work. Or I believe SEA, Southeast Asia, their reset would be after you get off of work. So you can kind of set it up that way depending on what your schedule is yourself. And this is one of the biggest important things in the game, is most of the things that you need to do are in this 7:30 to 9 o'clock region. And I say I'm kind of ignoring the 7 o'clock ones because there is some Thunder Roar up here, because you can just schedule yourself to always have the 9 o'clock one open, because that also lines up with, as you see on Saturday, Shrine Peak. So there's other things aligned at 9 that aren't aligned at 7, so scheduling it like this just makes the most sense in my opinion. As far as how to play the game, really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for group content, then find a group to play with. You'll be doing Guild War together, Top League, not Shrine, what's it called? There's more Guild War, things like this, Crystal Battlefield, to do more group content. If you want to do more focused PvP, there's stuff like that. There's Shrine Peak, there's Burning Soul Battle, things like this. If you want more PvE, Guild Boss is actually a big deal for the personal as well as for the guild, as well as there's always events every month that focus on PvE. I have cheat sheets for all the classes, the recommended ones. You can obviously do other things, but any questions, ask down below. But I think this is one of the most important things you do when you start the game. Let me know what you guys think down below. Till next time, guys.